Why is it that you should keep posting on YouTube time after time, day after day, week after week? And I'm guessing if you're like me and you're just cutting your teeth in YouTube or trying to build a personal brand, you're probably seeing similar views. There is an absolute ridiculous amount of uploads that go into YouTube on a daily basis. Wish I could remember the number off the top of my head, but I can't. But it's astronomical, the amount of hours of YouTube videos that are uploaded every day. And you got to fight through the noise. But you keep posting, just like you keep going to the gym. You don't see the results every single time you go to the gym. You don't get home and say, oh my God, I have a six-pack now. It takes weeks, it takes months, it takes years to achieve the results that you're looking for. But you keep doing it, and you keep learning, and you try different stuff, and you learn more. But you keep doing it because you're learning something new. You're learning new things about yourself. You're learning new things about what your abilities are, to stay consistent, to follow through with something that you said you're going to do. And you're developing new skills, public speaking, being able to present, being able to put together a sort of presentation. Some of the videos are going to be a little bit more strategically, scripted out than others. Some of them are just chatting with the camera, hanging out with your friends online. But you learn a lot through doing this stuff, and through that process, I think it's going to make you a better person. And there's a whole nother side of it. And yes, there's, you're developing skills, you're getting better, you're learning, you're growing a channel eventually. You start growing, you get one follower, that's growing, you get another one, maybe it's a couple weeks later or a month or two later. I think I went like 3 months this summer or this winter without getting a single follower, posting every single week. But the biggest thing is, for me, it comes back to a book that I read 15 years ago by Tim Ferriss called The 4-Hour Workweek. And that book completely changed my life instantly. It was actually my barber that gave it to me back when I used to have to go to the barber. I don't do the barber anymore. I just shave my own head. He said, he knew I was doing some business stuff. I had a network marketing business that I just launched back then. I was talking to him about it, and I was talking to everybody about it. He said, you should read this book. And I read it. And to put it in a nutshell for you, The 4-Hour Workweek by Tim Ferriss is about how you can design your life to only work 4 hours a week. And it was all the different processes that he went through to get his work days shaved down to the point where he wasn't doing any needless tasks, to the point where he had an autoresponder on his email saying, if this isn't an important email, please don't send it. Well, he wouldn't see that from an autoresponder because it was already sent, but I can't remember exactly how it went. But the autoresponder also had his cell phone number. He said, if this is really important, call me. If it's not important, then I'll get back to you, next Wednesday or something like that. I think he checked his email like once a month and replied to the ones that were important. He had a job. He was working a traditional job, and he convinced his boss to let him start working partially remote and then fully remote. And then I think this is the same book. And then he went and he worked overseas, and nobody even knew that he was over there. And he was living in Germany or something like that, working his job. And at the same time, because they weren't tracking his hours like nowadays, if you're working online, you have a remote job, they'll, you see videos of people hooking their mouse up to an oscillating fan so it keeps your mouse moving all day long, because they're actually like tracking the amount of hours you're sitting at your desk, inputting or typing or doing something on the computer, which is stupid. I get it for the company, but really it comes down to, are you doing the job that they hired you to do? But getting back to my point, The 4-Hour Workweek is such a good book because it opened up my eyes of what you can do in terms of lifestyle design and your income design to eliminate so much needless crap that you have to do on a daily basis. So if you're watching this video right now and you have a job, regular 9 to 5 or 8 to 4 or whatever it might be, you're working 5 days a week, how many hours do you actually think that you put into your job, like actual legit working hours in a day? I would say most people would say that it's not even 50% of their time is actually logged doing something productive for the company. Like in the movie Office Space, when he's like, well, how much work do you think you do in a given day? He's like, honestly, what did he say? Like an hour or something like that. And then he starts like running through what he does in like a typical day. And they were just so blown away by his transparency that they just kept asking him more questions and more questions. And that really aligned with what I was doing with network marketing. So network marketing, I think, is an incredible industry. If you're just looking to get into business, you're looking to start your own business, get out of a 9-to-5 sort of environment, but you've never worked for yourself, network marketing is so powerful because you have, if you're in the right company at least, you have a team of people that are there to mentor you for free. They're getting paid by you growing your business. So they're willing to put a lot of effort into helping you grow and transform into a really productive member of the team. And I've been in this one same company for 14 years now, and it completely changed my life. Learning about how to build a personal brand, learning how to get up on stage and speak and be a presenter and be a trainer, learning how to deliver presentations to sometimes an unknowing audience. Most of the time, our invites were pretty solid. People knew why they were there, but being able to deliver a presentation that was good enough where people would want to sign up afterwards. These are some real solid business skills, to be able to get up in front of the room and give a 45-minute presentation, or even more so, what we would do is we would have the new person present first and then the seasoned person would present second. We would split it in half, or maybe like 1/3, 2/3. And then being good enough where if the first person goes up and they just make a mess out of everything, being able to get up in front of the room and completely take the presentation over and sway the people in the room who are at first probably kind of like, what the heck is going on here? And then, reeling it all back in and getting them engaged and getting them excited about the opportunity to join the business that you have in front of them. Those are some skills that people would kill for in the business world. And so many people just mock and laugh at network marketing, but it's a freaking incredible breeding ground for young entrepreneurs. And that's really where I got my start. I used that knowledge and those skills to start learning how to build funnels and how to build websites, because there was stuff that I needed for my business. And then I started making some YouTube videos on one account, a different account than this, and was trying to make just network marketing videos every single week, and learning how to operate the camera and to record and get the sound right and make all this different stuff that I didn't go to school for. I went to school for accounting and finance. Didn't even graduate. I actually went for 3 years, so I'm a junior. Spent a lot of money to not to get a degree, but I learned, essentially I learned what I needed to learn in college. And I just called it right there. I said, I think that's enough money spent. I think I've learned what I need to learn. And I learned that I wanted to be an entrepreneur. I didn't want to work for somebody else. So all of these different skills that I've developed over the years, and we'll tie this back to why you keep posting on YouTube as well, but all these skills that I learned over the years helped me develop into a more valuable person in business, a more valuable employee for when I was working for somebody else. The last job I landed was a pretty good job for somebody that didn't have a degree. And I actually started a marketing agency as well. I used the skills that I developed through that to hire people, to put together a team of people that could actually build a solid, business professional website. Because I could build a chintzy, shitty website, but I can't build anything that's, worthy of charging for. Not charging much probably, but I use that skill, and we'll go off on another little tangent here. But I use that skill to get in with another company. I was initially brought in to help with some mundane tasks, and I was like, listen, you need to automate all this stuff. This is kind of, stupid the way that you're doing this. I didn't say it quite like that, but I think that we can do this much better and streamline things. And he's like, all right, well, let's talk about that. And I was like, I have a marketing agency too, so let's talk a little bit more about what we can do in terms of marketing for the company. And, you don't have a website right now, like let's get you a website, let's get you a brand, let's get you a logo, all this stuff. And through that process, I was actually able to get involved with this company as an equity holder. I was given equity of a company that is right now about to close on a massive round of funding. And I have, a chunk of this company. And, that's really sweet, something that we're going to be able to grow over the next 3 or 4 years. Helped put together a team of people to join this company, brought in a COO who's just genius level guy who actually was in my network marketing business with me. And we're about to close on this major round of funding, which is super exciting, to be able to grow this for the next 3 or 4 years and, hopefully exit and put some money in the bank. And, things change after that. Putting, a few million plus, could be really big, but, at the bare minimum, we're talking, maybe a few million. You can do that. Now you're turning around, you're reinvesting, you're buying, income producing properties, all this other stuff just opens up. So it really comes back to, why do you keep posting? Why do you keep doing anything? Because if it's something that's valuable, that gives you the ability to grow as a person, all these skills compound over time. And the more you do, the more you learn, the more you stop playing video games and do something different with your life, the faster you're going to grow as a person, the more valuable you are to the marketplace. And then all of a sudden you see big opportunities start to come your way, like I was talking about with the company that I'm involved in. And as that funding goes through and everything's kind of secured, I'll share some more about that with everybody. But, that's exactly why you do it. It's why you start a network marketing business when you're a kid. You don't really know what you're doing because you have people there to help you. And then, you start a marketing agency with somebody else that's a friend of yours that has more knowledge on it than you because you're able to learn from that person in that process. And you take jobs that you don't feel you're really qualified for because it makes you grow and it expands you as a person yet again. And you keep making YouTube videos, even though you're not really getting any views, but you do get a couple followers, subscribers here and there, and you start to get some views, and eventually it'll start to take off, if you just stick with it. And the reason that you do that, or the reason that I'm doing that, and the reason I think that you should do that, if you're not building a personal brand right now with whatever your professional background is, I don't care if it's marketing or sales or carpentry or you're a mechanic, you can build a personal brand around that, whatever you have the most knowledge on and you enjoy to do. And if you do it right, especially the way that the world is going right now, over the course of the next 2, 3, 4, 5 years, you can build something, with a few different courses that you can put together that help people get from point A to point B, that can bring in an astronomical amount of money to you and allow you to have the freedom that I think every human that has drive should really desire. To be able to, and I've lived a big part of my adult life is a network marketer, earning a full-time income off of that and having 2, 3, 4 hour work days and golfing 5 or 6 days a week and having a dog that as she started to got older, I didn't have to go to work. I was able to stay home so she could go out and go to the bathroom as often as she needed to and stuff like that. And more recently getting a new puppy and being able to be home with her all the time and not having to leave her in her crate for 8 hours, 9 hours a day while I'm off at work when she's a baby. And you can't just let her free range roam the house at that point. So you keep posting, you keep doing, you keep learning, you keep doing all this stuff because it's going to make you better. And as you get better and as you get more valuable, you're going to earn more. And then through that process, you're going to be able to buy your freedom. And I don't want you to think that you have to wait until you're 65, 60, 70 years old to retire, because at that age, you're just going to miss out on so much epic shit that you could do while you're still kind of young. I'm going to be 45 next month. I still feel really young. Fortunately, I started working in a really amazing cutting edge biohacking health and wellness company when I was in my early 30s, 31 years old. So I've been taking some really cutting edge stuff for 15 years now, which is why I still feel so good at my age. But so you can go and live. So you can go on this epic road trip around the country or buy a sailboat, which is one of the things I really want to do, and go and sail all over the Caribbean and the Gulf of America, and just check out really awesome places that are out there. And that's why you keep doing it. That's why you keep making videos. That's why you keep trying. And even if nobody's watching and nobody seems to care, you do it anyways because you're learning. You're doing it for you. You're not doing it for somebody else. So with that said, I hope you guys enjoyed the video today. We got another one coming tomorrow. But if you are looking to build a personal brand, then I got, it's in the pinned comments in the description. I got a personal brand starter kit. It's basically a guide on some of the things that you can utilize to start building your personal brand, from utilizing a software like High Level to build your funnels, your email marketing software, and just a lot of the different things that I've done over the last few years as I'm starting to put this stuff together. Just kind of consolidate into a nice little 8-page format for you, so you can skim through it real quick and see what jumps out at you, and then keep it as a resource. Print it off, put it on a shelf, refer back to it in 6 months. But get started. So check that out. It's down in the comments. It's all free. Feel free to utilize it, and I'll see you guys on the next video. Thanks for watching. See you soon.